Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Steven with Freeze Peach Gaming. This is where I talk about pop culture, politics, and where the two collide. Please consider giving me a like, comment, and think about subscribing if you'd like to see more of this content and ringing that notification bell so you can see when more videos come out. Today I'm looking into an article by Bounding Into Comics from Slade Hale. Is about Jessica Chastain's all-female, ultra-progressive The 355 bombs in theaters, a sign that woke messaging is dead. Quick answer, no, woke messaging is not completely dead in Hollywood, but this is certainly going to be another part of the death throes going on. Hollywood has been hemorrhaging cash for months now. We saw it with Black Widow, we saw it with Chung-Li and the Legend of the Ten Cock Rings. We're seeing it again with this, and this movie has hemorrhaged cash. We'll get into that in a minute. The all-female ultra-progressive The 355 has hit theaters and is already destined to end up as a lackluster action flop same as Matrix Resurrections. Based on a very loose connection to a supposed female spy during the American Revolution, the film cobbles together a handful of female stars led by Jessica Chastain as they work together to prevent a new world war from breaking out. Not the best or most unique premise in the world, and that's clearly evident in the mainstream critic scores, which are abysmal, and that's actually quite interesting, because normally you see the mainstream critic scores, and they actually are doing pretty well as far as the critics go. Then you look at the audience scores, and the audience scores is where it underperforms. But, not always the same, because, the opposite is also true. If you see a movie that has really low critic scores, but good audience scores, you can typically depend on it as being at least a decent movie. That's how I tend to judge films. If I look at the critic scores and it's got like a 24 from the critics and like a 75 from the audience, I'll probably give it a try. However, to put the story aside, and the question is why the 355 started out so poorly and will no doubt end its theatrical run without having made enough to recoup its own budget. I'm going to pull the numbers up here in a minute, and it's not even going to come close to recouping its budget. It's all about the progressivism, baby. Very tiny women beating up huge, gigantic men with no effort. Look, I'm willing to suspend believability in order to enjoy a good story or a good action film, but at a certain point in time, it just gets old. Check. Stupid male characters who fall for simple sexual tricks employed by women, check. Male security guard getting beaten up for doing his job just despite the patriarchy, check. Interracial for absolutely no reason relationships, check. Girl power hero shot of all the leads, check. And this next paragraph I think is one of the more important ones. And audiences are sick and tired of it. Even Benjamin Lee of the extremely far-left newspaper The Guardian claimed simply replacing male action heroes with women and then standing back and waiting for the applause isn't quite enough. When you have The Guardian calling them out on their bullshit, you know they're in trouble. This is clearly Hollywood's own rhetoric coming back to bite them in the ass. That's at least a part of this. One, people are tired of the progressive nonsense, just like it said in this article. True. But Hollywood is where we saw all of our elites out there telling us that we needed to be afraid of the coof and we needed to stay in our homes. And if you went outside, you were killing grandma. They attributed to the fear-mongering going out. They propagated a large amount of the fear-mongering that was designed to keep you in your homes and keep you complacent. And now that is coming home to bite them in the ass. They were expecting to be able to hold off for 2 years, put out all of their movies all at once, and get all of the seats filled up once the lockdowns ended. They're never going to end in certain places. Like, do you really think California is going to end the lockdowns? They ended it for 6 days and then brought it right back up? See, they think it's acceptable for them to continue working because they're important, because they're the propaganda wing of the left-wing machine. So, obviously, they need to stay in power. They need to stay going. Otherwise, the message is going to end. As the critical drinker would say, the message. But that isn't enough, obviously. People aren't liking it. Let's go ahead and take a look over at the numbers here. This is from the-numbers.com, where you can go and look at data coming out from movies. The domestic box office on this has been 4.6 million with 350,000 international box office, bringing them up just below 5 million. We'll round it off to 4.9 million. Let's look at their budget. Production budget, $75 million. They haven't even brought back 10% of their production budget in this opening weekend. They haven't even come close to bringing in their production budget. And typically, advertising budgets are even larger than the production budget, sometimes even twice as much as the production budget. Well, I'd say for a movie like this, with all of the advertising that's been going on with this, there's a good chance they put another $100 million down on production alone. Normally I don't catch commercials, but even I saw a commercial for this crap. But either way, this is another piece in the puzzle of left-wing propaganda dying off. At least we could hope. But you know what's more important than us coming in and mocking these films? Because mockery is, of course, more important than hatred. If we come in and we just spew a bunch of hatred of these movies, that's going to empower them. That's going to make them think that they're bothering us. But really, mockery is better than hatred. And even better than mockery is apathy. If we just don't care about it, that'll make it even worse. That's why I really don't talk about New Trek. I hate New Trek, but I don't really talk about New Trek because they've made me apathetic. The 2009 reboot for Star Trek, I didn't like it. I didn't like any of the sequels to it. And by the time it came around for Star Trek, STD, Star Trek Discovery, or Picard. When those came out, I was already apathetic. I wasn't talking about it. I didn't talk about them to my friends or family. I even had some close family members who were trying to get me to watch those. They even, were like, here, check it out on CBS. We'll help you out there. Check it out on CBS All Access. And back when it was CBS All Access, it's now Paramount, and that's apparently hemorrhaging money as well. I just didn't care. I just straight up told him, I'm not interested in this show. It's just not for me. I don't care about it. And apathy is going to be horrible to these movies. That is how they're really going to fall. Because really, not many people are talking about the 355. They brought it up on Friday Night Tights this past week, and it was barely a footnote in the entire show. They talked about it for a few minutes and then moved on. And that's what's really going to destroy the woke messaging coming from these films. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day. Never be afraid to speak your mind, and be sure to vote with your wallet. If you think that something is out there intentionally designed to harm you, or make fun of you, or make you look like you're the bad guy and use you as the enemy so that they can push forward their progressive bullshit, don't give your money to the bullshit artists. Just give them your apathy.